Welcome to one more excellent and amazing class of coal and petroleum. I am Parth Davda and this video is for Form 8 Science. So students, have you ever wondered that by which means or the fuels are your bikes, cars and trains working? Think about it. Well, the answer is that they are working on coal products and petroleum products. So today we are going to learn about coal products and petroleum products. How are they obtained and how to process them. Along with that, at the end of this module, you will be able to define natural resources, describe the coal and its other useful products, describe the petroleum and its refining processes, list the various constituents of petroleum and their uses, and describe the natural gas and its importance. The resources can be classified into two categories: natural resource and man-made resource. The resources that we are getting directly from nature are called natural resources, like forest, air, water, coal, petroleum, and natural gas. There are subtypes of natural resources, namely inexhaustible natural resource and exhaustible natural resource. Inexhaustible natural resources. These resources are present in unlimited quantity in nature and they are not likely to be exhausted by human activities like sunlight and air. On the contrary, exhaustible natural resources are present in limited quantity in nature and they can be exhausted by human activities like forest, wildlife, coal, natural gas, petroleum, etc. Do you know that some exhaustible natural resources were formed from the dead remains of the living organisms, namely fossils? Hence, they are also known as the fossil fuels. So, coal, petroleum and natural gas are fossil fuels. So, let's study about coal in detail. You must have seen black color stone-like structure. Well, there is nothing but coal. It is hard and black in color. As you might be knowing that coal is used for cooking, steam engines, thermal power plants and refineries. Now when coal is burned in presence of air, it releases a toxic carbon dioxide gas, which is very harmful to inhale. Some useful products of coal are coke, coal tar and coal gas, which are obtained by processing of coal. So let us understand in detail. The very first one is coke. It is a tough, porous and black substance. It is the purest form of carbon and it is mainly used for manufacturing of steel and extraction of metals. Second is coal tar, which is a black, thick, unpleasant liquid. It is frequently used in the manufacturing of synthetic dyes, perfumes, drugs, explosives, plastics, paints, photographic materials. Coal gas is used in industries and it is obtained as a byproduct when we are obtaining coke. And that's how we get coal gas. So after revising all the things, we will now begin with our next segment. That will be the classification of resources. Now, the classification of resources, all the resources are divided into two types. One is inexhaustible natural resource and the other one is exhaustible natural resource. Now, as the name suggests, so is the work of it. Inexhaustible natural resource. These resources are present in unlimited quantity in nature and are not likely to be exhausted by the human activities. Examples are very easy: sunlight and air. Exhaustible natural resources. These are the opposite ones. The amount of these resources in nature is very limited. They can be exhausted by human activities and examples are forest, wildlife, minerals, coal, petroleum, natural gas, etc. So this chapter is about coal, petroleum and natural gas. So what type of resources will it be? Yes, it will be exhaustible natural resources. So let's get started with the next part. Coal. Now coal, it is as hard as stone and it is black in color. Probably you all have seen how does a coal look like. Coal is one of the fuels used to cook food, and in the earlier days we were using it for even powering our railway engines. It is also used in the thermal power plants, so that when we are burning the coal, it produces steam, and with the help of that steam we will be able to produce electricity. So the next thing, story of coal. It is basically formation of coal. About 300 million years ago, the earth had dense forest in the low-lying wetland areas. Due to natural processes like flooding, these forests got buried under the soil. Now, as more and more layer of the soil kept on depositing on it, they kept on sinking down. So the temperature also rose as they sank deeper and deeper. Under high pressure and high temperature, dead plants got slowly converted into coal. So initially, that was the dense forest. Due to floods, it got buried into the soil. Then it sank deeper and deeper. And due to the high pressure and temperature, it got converted into coal. Now, this particular process is named as carbonization. So, how do we define carbonization? As coal contains mainly carbon, the slow process of conversion of dead vegetation into coal is called carbonization. Since the coal was also formed from the remains of vegetation, as we have discussed, the dead plants. So, coal is also called a fossil fuel. Coal is used as a solid fuel to produce electricity, and coal is also used to manufacture coke, coal tar, coal gas. Now, these are the things that we will be understanding it as our next topic. So far, so clear? Alright. Now, when you process coal, it gets converted into coke, coal tar and coal gas. How? By the process of destructive distillation. What is destructive distillation? Let us have a look at it. So this is the setup of destructive distillation of coal. There is one test tube number 1 where we are having powdered coal. This is the powdered coal. Then we are having test tube 2 where we are having water present over there. This test tube 1 is having complete cut off from the oxygen. And there is a bent tube number 1 and this is the bent tube number 2. We need a burner to heat the things. So here is our burner. Now, let us understand how it works. When the burner is set to the flame, then test tube 1 will be heated. And in absence of air, it will be producing a gas. That gas and the vapor will be traveling all the way through this test tube bent 1 and it will be reaching to test tube 2. Here we will be getting a liquid, a very tarry substance, thick liquid we will be able to get, which is coal tar. The undissolved gas will be coming out through this particular bent tube and that gas will be referred as coal gas. So out of three things, we have received two of them, coal tar and coal gas. Now when this process keeps on happening, at the end we will be getting some sort of porous solid substance, and that porous solid substance over here at this position where the coal was, that porous solid substance will be referred as coke. So this is how we will be getting coke over here at this place, coal gas at the end, and coal tar, the liquid over here. So I hope the destructive distillation of coal is clear. Now we will be watching one video which is going to show us how the destructive distillation will take place in real. So let us have a look at that. They are setting the burner on fire. As you can see, this is the pieces of coal. Here is the second test tube, and as you can see, there are some bubbles over here. Now as we increase the flame, the amount of heat, then the process is taking place faster, and very soon you will be able to see a combustible gas, a gas that catches fire very easily, even at the room temperatures. Here it is. This is the gas that we are able to see. So let us understand all the components of coal that we have just seen. Very first one is coke. Now coke is a tough, porous and a black substance. Remember the things that we are getting at the end, the solid substance which was present in the first test tube was the coke. It is almost pure form of carbon, and coke is used in manufacturing of steel and in extraction of many metals. So that was the very first component. Component number 2, coal gas, the one which we were getting at last, the gas, right? Now coal gas is obtained during the processing of coal to get coke. It is used as a fuel in many industries which are located nearby of the coal processing plants. And the third component that we were getting was coal tar. In industries, it is used for making various things like the synthetic dyes, drugs, explosives, perfumes, plastics, paints, photographic materials, roofing materials, and so on. Now interestingly, the naphthalene balls, if at all you have seen a white color sphere-like structure which is present even in our basins, even in the moth repellent which we are keeping it under the bed so that no more moths comes up, that is made up of coal tar, and hence it is very important part of our daily life. And these days, bitumen, a petroleum product which we will be studying in the next session, is used in place of coal tar for metalling the roads. You know that surfacing of the roads that you have seen. So that is done with the help of coal tar and bitumen. After all the crystal clear explanation of coal, now we shall be going towards petroleum and natural gas. I hope you have subscribed the channel by now. Now I know you all are fond of luxury cars and vehicles, but do you know which fuel do they run on? Actually, most of these run on either petrol, diesel or compressed natural gas, also known as CNG. Petrol, diesel are obtained from a natural resource called petroleum. Over here, you'll be able to observe a layer which is above water, and that is of petroleum. They do not get mixed as their densities are different. Let's study about petroleum refining. Petroleum is an oily black tarry substance which is also referred as black gold due to its economical value. Now we obtain petrol, diesel, kerosene, paraffin wax, lubricating oil and natural gas. The process of separation of these constituents of petroleum is known as refining. It is carried out in a petroleum refinery. Do you know which is the largest refinery of India? Well, it is Reliance Refineries at Jamnagar. By refining petroleum, we obtain various substances. Now let us move on to our next exhaustible natural resource, which is natural gas, also known as compressed natural gas (CNG). It is stored under high pressure as compressed natural gas (CNG). CNG is generally used for power generation, but due to less polluting, it is widely used as a fuel for vehicles. It is also used for cooking purposes. It is also used as a starting material for the manufacture of a number of chemicals, fertilizers and manures. Since the petroleum products and the coal products are exhaustible resources, so we need to conserve them. We cannot just use as per our choice. So here are some tips to save petrol. These tips are given by PCRA to save petrol or diesel while driving. Switching off engines when there is a traffic signal or traffic jam. Moving at a moderate or constant speed as far as possible. Having a regular maintenance check. And having a proper check of air pressure.
After getting an overview about the chapter, let's get into the formation of petroleum. Formation of petroleum is again a very lengthy process in terms of time. Petroleum was formed from the organisms living in the sea. After few years, when they died and got deposited on the seabed, they were covered with the multiple layers of soil. Now, as they sank deeper and deeper, there was high pressure and high temperature present at the seabed, due to which they got converted into petroleum and natural gas. As you can see, different layers of it. Now, since petroleum is lighter than water, it is floating above the water. Petroleum is a non-renewable resource. The first ever oil reserve was found in Pennsylvania, USA in 1859, and 8 years later, another place named as Makum in Assam had found oil reserves. Apart from Assam, in our country, we are also having oil reserves in Gujarat, in Mumbai High, and in Andhra Pradesh at Krishna Godavari Basin. Let's study about petroleum in detail. Now, petroleum is a dark, oily liquid. It has an unpleasant odor or smell, so you wouldn't like it to get a smell of petroleum. We are getting different things from the petroleum, mainly petroleum gas, petrol, diesel, lubricating oil, and paraffin wax. The process of separating the various constituents of petroleum is known as refining. It is carried out in a petroleum refinery, as we have discussed in the video. The largest refinery is the Reliance Refineries. Let's have a look at a refining of petroleum. Now, after refining of petroleum, many useful substances are obtained from the petroleum and natural gas. These are termed as petrochemicals. Remember synthetic fibers, one of the chapter number 3? These are used in manufacture of detergents, fibers like polyester, nylon, acrylic, polythene and other man-made plastics. Let's have a look at the fractional distillation, which is a part of refining. First of all, the crude oil is heated from this particular place, and then after it travels upwards. Now here the temperature will be 400 degrees and the molecules will keep on going higher and higher. As we go higher, the temperature is less. We will be getting various products as we go higher, beginning from bitumen, diesel, kerosene, naphtha, petrol and petroleum gas. These tiny molecules will be condensing due to this bubble cap that is present at every stage. Now the bubble cap will reduce the amount of motion that is moving in it. So the energy will be lesser at higher places and more at lower ones. Since the small molecules have low boiling points, so we'll be able to get gas at the top and things like bitumen and diesel at the bottom. So this process is known as fractional distillation. Natural gas. Now if you remember, there was one more layer above petroleum, and that was of the natural gas. So let's understand few things about natural gas. CNG can be used directly for burning in homes and factories, where it can be supplied through pipes. You may have seen those pipelines. Such a network of pipelines exists in various parts of India. In our country, the natural gas has been found in Tripura, Rajasthan, Maharashtra and in the Krishna Godavari Delta. Krishna Godavari Delta is also the region where petroleum is also found. There are certain advantages of natural gas compared to all the other fuels. The major advantage of natural gas is that it is very easy to transport. Why? Because it's a gas. Now gas does not need much of extra energy to travel. You insert gas from one end of the pipe and naturally it does not have anywhere else to go apart from the other side of the pipe. Hence, it is very easy to transport a natural gas or any gas compared to the solid or the liquid fuels. Natural gas is stored under high pressure and hence it is known as compressed natural gas, in other words CNG. It is now being used as a fuel for transport vehicles because it is less polluting and hence it is a cleaner fuel. You may have seen yellow and green color rickshaw, which is nothing but running on CNG, and hence they have colored it differently so that you can choose wisely. Natural gas is also used as a starting material for the manufacturing of a number of chemicals and fertilizers. So these are the various advantages of using natural gas. Is there any doubt as of now? Alright, so we proceed further. Now natural resources are definitely limited. In the earlier part of the chapter, we had understood inexhaustible and exhaustible natural resources. Well, petroleum and natural gas are exhaustible natural resources. That means they will get over if we are not using it in a proper manner. So we cannot use it as per our choice and as per our wish all the time. It required the dead organisms millions of years to get converted into these fuels, the fossil fuels. On the other hand, the known reserves of these will almost last for another few years, and hence you have heard that nowadays there are few companies which are coming up with the electric vehicles like Tesla. Moreover, burning of these fuels is a major cause of air pollution, since the fossil fuels are not as cleaner as the non-fossil fuels. But definitely, out of all these fossil fuels, natural gas is much more cleaner compared to the petrol, diesel, kerosene, and the other fuels.